Hi everyone, this is Yurii from ORIL, and it means that we have another episode of Innovation Blueprint podcast. And today we have another guest, and today this beautiful lady from UK, not from United States, and she's a little bit different compared to the rest of our guests that we had before, because nowadays we work in the prop tech and all people rely on sound technologies. I'm pretty sure that she also does the same. However, what she does, she helps to find some right people for the different teams. And we will discuss this today with our guest, Sarah Baldon. Sarah, say hello to our crowd.
Hi, nice to meet you all virtually.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for finding the time. I know there's an evening in UK already, so I appreciate your time and that you can join to our conversation today. And Sarah, you work as a senior PropTech consultant and company with the name LMRE, if I pronounced it correct.
Yeah,
So it says in the LinkedIn profile that it is global recruitment and search consultancy in the built environment. Can you please clarify what exactly you guys do, what exactly you search, and what kind of consultancy do you guys provide?
yeah, of course. You pronounced it right. Our name is basically a combination of letters. They're the founders' surnames. So when the company started, it was Lloyd May Real Estate, which kind of explains our trajectory. We basically started out in traditional real estate recruitment. That was about 10 years ago. So working with the likes of Cushman and Wakefield, CBRE, Greystar, those type of big dogs, I guess. And we do still work with them now, but basically we found that the industry was moving into the tech space more than ever. So we noticed, for example, when we were working with JLL, that they had an increasing need for us to find tech hires for their JLLT branch of the business. And around 6, 7 years ago, when once the term prop tech had actually kind of been coined, we realized this was like an industry kind of within an industry. And as far as I'm aware, we're the only dedicated recruiters that work specifically in prop tech. And so since then we've grown rapidly. Like we work with companies anywhere from, our home ground is obviously the UK. US is actually our biggest market, but big need for hiring across Dubai, APAC, and most recently in Germany. We're finding a lot of growth in the prop tech space in the EU. Can be quite tricky markets, so it's useful to have a recruiter on side. I think people are realizing, because they're tough markets to break. And so we still work with those bigger clients, but we've pivoted to the majority of our client base now being prop tech specific companies. So Yardi, MRI, DeepKey, Measurable, bigger companies like that. But the bulk of our business comes from earlier stage companies usually. And basically the type of recruitment that we do, we specialize in all things that are client facing. I guess the logic is if you're looking for a back end person, they don't necessarily need to know the industry or have any type of network as such. So we tend to focus mostly on commercial roles, go to market, anything from sales, customer success, product. And then obviously we pivot around those roles as well into more technical hires, finance hires, ops hires. But I think what makes us different and why we can say we're prop tech specific is we don't focus on a niche of roles. We focus on a niche of an industry. So it makes my job interesting, but it makes my job hard because it means I've got the responsibility of being able to recruit for all of those roles in prop tech. Whereas I know there's different agencies out there that specialize in like B2B SaaS hires, or B2B, I don't know, sales managers. Um, but we kind of have to know everything across the prop tech spectrum. So it's great. I mean, it's our benefit, it's our USP. It means that our network is super tight because whether you work on in sales or all the way on the other end, we tend to know people in the business. We can help people find the best talent because we can kind of informally vet whether that person is any good or has some type of reputation for being a high performer. And so the roles we fill can be anything from people earlier on in their career all the way through to C-suite hires. And the way that we've modeled our business now is we have different consultants that work on different roles. So we have different levels of seniority for the type of role that people are looking to fill. And the majority, like I said, tend to be with Series B, C startups, but we do everything and anything in between. You name a prop tech role, and over the last 7 years, I'm sure we've given it a stab.
So you guys work with a pretty wide range of people, and you cover not just the United States, but the European market too. And another question that I have regarding your processes, I know there's a lot of recruitment companies all over the globe, and you guys work for European market, you work for United States market, which means that you're pretty big. And if you're pretty big, I guess you're kind of successful in what you do. So what makes you different compared to your competitors? What helps you to stand out?
I think what makes us different is we're super niche. And so I think we're selective about the type of work that we bring on. I think we're realistic with our clients. You know, if they do ask for certain roles, we know what we can deliver on and what we can't. And this is a tried and tested process over the last 7 years or so of being solely in prop tech. So I think that helps. I mean, obviously my title's recruitment consultant, and I stand by the consultancy element of my title because it kind of goes past finding people just the right person sometimes. A lot of what we do can advise companies on their growth plans in general. So we can have somebody, I don't know, a UK client that's going to launch in the US, and they know that we've got a network there and we've helped other clients do that before. So it kind of goes past finding them that one founding US sales hire. I guess the net is cast a lot wider than that. It's understanding, okay, well, what region should they open their first office? Is this going to be a good model? We've seen clients try and test things in the past, and we're able to use those examples to guide people moving forward. So, for example, one model might be that a non-US based client, they could be from Israel, the UK, Australia even. They launch in the US and they move their best salesperson over there. This person has a sales record of the last 5 years, absolutely smashing it in Melbourne or wherever it is that they come from. The issue with that is we've seen this happen before, and we're able to kind of talk our clients through why those moves aren't necessarily always the best, how you likely do need to put your trust in somebody that knows the market on the ground, has an existing Rolodex of contacts and network that they can tap into from day one. And also we can vet that person's experience through the network, because PropTech's growing, but PropTech's still kind of small, especially PropTech specific, slow, I guess, in the grand scheme of industry. So in terms of what makes us different, I guess, to go back to your original question, you know, we have that niche, but I think through that niche, we have been able to form some great partnerships. So we work with different VCs. We partner with the likes of Camber Creek, Metaprop, Fifth Wall, Second Century Ventures, and their Reach program, you know, who have that kind of model where they bring companies over to the US and grow. And by partnering with those, we understand where investment's going. We can watch those VCs closely and understand, okay, well, where are you investing your money? Where do these top guys in the business or girls look at companies and think, yeah, this is where we're going to project some growth and we're going to put our money there. So we can follow our connections, they can kind of follow us, and it helps us understand where the investment is going. And then naturally we have a network within that VC kind of set up. So we get introductions to their portfolio companies. We've helped those type of early stage businesses scale before. And more often than not, a lot of the roles that we're asked to hire for are roles that we do over and over again. This tends to be, like I said, like a founding sales hire. Like, hey, I'm the founder of this business. I'm doing founder-led sales. Nobody sells my baby better than me, but I need to try and find somebody that I trust to take this over and go and do it on my behalf. I don't really want to let go of the reins, but find me a rock star because I know that I need to, and my investors are telling me it's time to let go. That is very common. And so ultimately, people want somebody that has done that role before. They've been either a founding AE, they've built out a branch of a business, they've had direct reports report into them and kind of grown a whole GTM function. And like I said, they want those multifaceted hires. So not just a salesperson, but somebody that's also got a say or experience with how to do a little bit of marketing as well. So essentially we're well connected, but within those connections we are getting asked to find similar talent over and over again, which means we know great places to find people, and we know those other smaller businesses that will have the talent that they're looking for, because it's usually a unicorn candidate that they're wanting, but
Yeah.
we find it.
So, and when you find a candidate, how most of the time it works? Do you guys put them on some consistent job where there's a project base? Let's say I'm looking for some, as you just said before, like back end developer or maybe front end developer, but I need it like for a couple months contract, not longer. Do you guys work with some assignments like that, or you just put on the right person in the right place for the years?
It really depends on what the client wants. So our contract work tends to come mostly from the bigger post IPO companies. So it tends to come from businesses that have an internal talent department, but they need that hire to have something specific. So this year I've hired like a contractor for ServiceNow, or a master data management project. So when they've got an idea that this project will take a year, we do contract recruitment, and in those type of tech roles that makes sense. It's usually like, we've got this legacy system, we want to embed this new system and have somebody in the middle bringing it all together. Those hires make sense for a year, and that's what makes sense. What doesn't necessarily make sense is those contract hires, for example, in like sales positions, because I mean they can make sense, but it takes a certain person and a certain era of their career to be willing to do a contract type role. A lot of what we find in our hiring trends is people at the height of their career that are maybe 5 to 10 years out of university put a lot of weight on job security. And if you want somebody to be able to sell your product, they have to believe in not only the product, but also your company, right? Like, you're asking them to make you a lot
100%.
of money and do 90 cold calls a day. They want to believe in the vision and probably want a little bit of equity for when this eventually grows. And so we have noticed a trend of, we do a salary report every year, kind of tracking where what makes people move, apart from being paid more elsewhere, what makes people move. And job satisfaction and benefits are massively one of those things that gets people to reconsider another option. So if we were trying to find the best prop tech talent that had 5 to 10 years worth of selling experience in the peak of their career, realistically they probably wouldn't want to take a step back from a role like that to do a contract where they likely already enjoy a benefits package or flexible working or whatever it might be. So for tech hires that are self-employed, they have their own entity, they just send an invoice to the client once a month for their hours. It makes perfect sense. For other roles, again, we can advise clients and be like, well, if you want the buy-in and the rock star that you're looking for, they can just be paid a salary with double OTE and a whole benefits package at this other startup. So likely not going to be able to get them to sway.
And what would you say from your perspective? What has been changed for the last few years since the AI came on market? Did the roles that people were mostly hiring change so far?
I think there's definitely been more growth. So there's more companies, I guess, that are coming out of the woodworks. So that's great for us. In terms of the type of roles that we hire for, we haven't necessarily found a massive change. I mean, we don't really tend to do the back end development side. And I think some of the coders have maybe coded themselves out of roles because now the AI can take on a lot of that automation. Same with type of the data entry, those more clerical type roles. Again, it's not really something people come to us for because they don't need a prop tech network to be good in those type of I guess admin heavy positions. but it has meant that we've seen different types of roles requested, or, as it's been on the market long enough now, we are getting requests from clients to find talent that do already have AI experience, or be able to, break down quite complex ideas and sell them to an end client. So a lot of what we found is like a lot of synergy now between prop tech and fintech. That's happening quite a lot. We're seeing a growth in AI being able to automate a lot of the asset management of different portfolios, AI being able to detect fraud. So we're working with startups that are, within minutes being able to verify if the person that wants to lease their flat is legitimate, if somebody that's asking to presenting some data for some type of asset acquisition, they can verify that within minutes. So it's saving a lot of important people a lot of time, for sure. Luckily, it hasn't meant that there's no roles out there for us to recruit for anymore. And I don't want to get too comfortable, but I think AI can help us in our jobs. But I think as recruiters, we're brought in for that EQ piece. Like, we're brought in to see if somebody has the personality, the culture fit. Not necessarily something AI can determine right now and take our jobs, but I don't want to get too comfortable. You never know.
Yeah, because in the end, what we can get, you can find the right people who will create a product who will replace you. Is
Yeah.
that right? Is that right?
Well,
You scared about that?
I'm hoping not. No, I'm hoping not. I mean, AI, like, we can use it in our job. It definitely helps us speed things up. Like, we're able to sift through the web for emails, phone numbers. I mean, recruitment can be 360 as well. We need to bring on business. We need to understand who's hiring. So it can help us with like automated email campaigns, or being able to draft up different campaigns, emails, salary surveys. It definitely gives you like a skeleton framework within our day-to-day role. Note takers for conversations like this, we're not having to type as much in the background when we're able to give people our full attention, knowing that the AI will be able to write us a summary and we can send that off to a client within 5 minutes. But it helps, but I don't know. I don't think someone will be able to make a software and kind of deduce whether somebody's got the network, the social skills, the things that you can't necessarily put on a CV and on paper. That would be quite hard for AI to vet. But yeah.
Yeah, we're
We'll
not gonna
see.
look so far. Yeah, talking about the reality nowadays. Yeah, you already said that you didn't see kind of massive change between the roles that people were hiring before and now. But talking about the amount of hiring, what do you think when the processes start being more automated? How did it change the employees market?
Um, I think I think in terms of the volume of hiring, it hasn't really changed too much. Like, it speeds up a process for sure. But I think post COVID, like, there was a boom in 2022 once everybody knew that COVID was kind of out of the way, a bit of hyperinflation, a bit of investor confidence coming back. And then towards 2023, it's now kind of normalized. And I think people are cautiously optimistic about the job market of this year. I think there's been big shifts that are changing the pattern of hiring way past AI. I think people being called back to the office is one of them. I think like new job volume definitely has emerged, but the hiring trends are completely different way past AI. So before, for example, in the US, we found a commonality between US companies where they would predict a growth and they would hire in anticipation of that funding round coming in. I think since what happened in COVID and overhiring and a lot of layoffs that have been happening, people are hiring with a bit more conviction now, and are actually waiting until they secure the funding, or they suss out the market before they bring people on and anticipate that growth. I also think that the type of roles people are hiring for are a bit different, which again affects who we're hiring for. So before, they may have hired a chief technology officer and a chief product officer or something like that. Now we're finding that people are hiring for CTPOs and merged roles, and kind of trying to find two or three people in one. And so, yeah, I think I think the US will continue leading the way both on the AI front and the hiring trends front. I think for 2025, they predicted something like a 20% growth in VC investment. So there's definitely going to be a shift towards AI and those type of new technologies coming through. But I don't necessarily think it changes how quickly you can get people across the line, because ultimately, yeah, the roles we're looking for are different, and the processes are probably, given the climate and given the difficulty that the real estate went through, people want to make sure they're getting their hiring right. So even if I can send the candidate over 10 minutes quicker than I could before, people are being very stringent about making sure that they meet the right individuals within the team, they go through the right interview stages. And so probably doesn't affect our industry as much in terms of my day to day. But in terms of the roles that we're seeing, it's definitely going to continue to shape the difference in demand for AI focused candidates, probably more than ever before.
Okay, so thank you for such an open answer. And talking about the technology and people, what guys do you use for your internal processes? What kind of technologies do you use?
Yeah, so we call it like an applicant tracking system. So I guess that would be the same as a sales organization CRM. It's basically where we track which clients we work with, the roles, which stages we have people at roles. And then it's basically our database for all of our candidates as well. So it's called an ATS. It is a bit clunky, it is a bit outdated. I think they're trying to implement some new features to make that a bit more AI friendly, such as being able to summarize a profile, and things like that. But there's definitely a long way that that could go. We also use a software called Source Whale, which again, I'm not sure what the sales organizations are using, but it's basically a tool that helps us scrape phone numbers, emails, that type of thing, so that we're able to get in contact with people a lot quicker. We still find that cold calling is king. They might not necessarily want to work with a recruiter, but if you ring them up and you're like, hey, give me 5 minutes, let me pitch you this guy, it's still working for us. So they're probably the two tools that we're using mostly day to day. And then, like I said, we've got those integrations like note takers, and things that can summarize conversations a lot quicker. And it basically means that once we get a new role on, if we need to check what the salary banding was or what the timeline was, it's definitely speeding things up. And we have everything on a centralized platform where people can check the notes that anybody's made. So yeah, again, AI is playing a part in our tech stack for sure. ChatGPT is helping everyone. I'm not even going to deny that I use that, because I think everyone does at this point. We speak to, I think across the board, if you added up every consultant, we're likely speaking to hundreds of people every 2-3 days. And so what that means in terms of how quickly we can pick up our work is, sometimes we're back to back on calls with different candidates for different roles, and it gives us an insight very quickly to be able to search, does this person work at a B2B SaaS company, especially if we're working outside of our usual region and they work for a company we've not heard of before. I am personally, I can't speak for the team, but I'm personally leaning ChatGPT for some quick fire answers like that.
Oh yeah, everybody do.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for the answer one more time. And another question. We already spoke a bit about the AI and about the potential replacement of the human beings. However, if we will take a look, let's say in the next 5 years till 2030, where do you think the AI will be at that point, and how that will affect the companies like yours and the prop tech business in general?
Yeah, I think it will see that shift probably between the prop tech and the fintech industries coming closer together than ever. I see that there will be a lot more companies popping up around like 3D digital mapping. There's companies out there now, for example, that are replacing estate agents with virtual tours, virtual screening of what the real estate assets can look like. So I think there's going to be a big movement towards certain roles within industry becoming redundant. I'm not saying that every real estate agent across the US is going to be out of a role in 5 years' time, but there are definitely ways that people are finding to cut a little bit of human connection, and definitely, I guess, get through their admin a little bit quicker and make processes like viewing a flat a lot quicker, a little less clunky, not relying on someone that's stuck in traffic to turn up and show you around. But I think the roles that we hire for will be different. I think these new companies are going to pop up all the time. Like, we're literally working with anything to do with the built environment. And one of the clients we've worked with are called Sewer AI. So imagine anything. There is a way to integrate AI, and they've found a way to use AI to track, the quality of the sewers, what's in the sewers, and are we able to build big infrastructures over these underground kind of systems. So there is innovation everywhere. I can't predict what is going to spring up next for sure. But in terms of how it will change our role, I like to think, like I said, it won't mean I'm out of a job, but it means that the roles that I'm hiring for should look a little bit different. I would presume that's because they're looking for people to maybe become product managers, or make sure that the product is super strong for these type of apps that are going to replace a lot of those human and more manual roles, like those real estate tours or 3D digital mapping type softwares. But it's hard to say.
Okay, and so thank you for sharing your vision. And another question about some maybe near future plans for the LMRI. What do you guys think? Maybe there's some excited news that you're willing to share, or the next steps that you guys are taking.
Yeah, I think we're going to continue to grow. I think the plan is to bring maybe two more people onto the team this year. When PropTech does well, we do well, and naturally, it's like we're going to see a boost this year in investment in PropTech companies. I think there's going to be a lot more employer confidence to make those decisions at the moment than there has been before. In terms of where we see everything growing, we've basically been able to already pivot. So we have our PropTech specific recruiters, including myself. But then we also had a rock star join the company maybe 3 years ago now. And she had a vision to start a completely separate arm of the business in construction tech. And she noticed there was something that we weren't tapping into on that side of the built environment. So her team is continuing to grow. We've had an extra hire literally start in January on that side, because again, there's more demand than ever for more houses to be built, and for infrastructure to work. So construction tech has been booming, and we also were able to branch out and create like a green tech ESG arm of the business. So we have another office now in New York. He's been there for a few years, but again, we're yet to see what's going to happen with Trump and everything that goes with that in terms of ESG investment. But I hope, despite the kind of political climate we find ourselves in, that there will still be a movement towards making the built environment a lot greener and a lot more environmentally friendly. So hopefully, regardless of what happens on that front, ESG is still an important factor for a lot of the EU hiring. There's still big quotas to be met to make sure that these buildings are running efficiently enough to meet their quotas, at least on the EU side. So I think our team will continue to grow. I can't predict if it's going to be, which subsection of our business that will be. But at least two more hires, I reckon, for PropTech this year, and then just continuing to get LMRE's brand out there. We have big trips planned. I think we're back to Vegas again multiple times, 4 or 5 more times this year. It's important for us to go to these conferences and make sure people realize that not only are we there to get client engagement, but also candidate engagement, so people know that there are people out there doing PropTech recruitment. But yeah, I think we're at Blueprint, Realcom, Apartmentalize, Optech. We've got Climate Tech Week in New York, so I think that's October this year, maybe November. Cretech and all the conferences that come with that. So lots of big trips, team growth, and subdivisions within our built environment recruitment business now.
We're definitely going to see you at the conference that you've mentioned, because we're also going there.
Yeah.
That will be great to see you again there. It feels like we're slowly but surely running out of time. So first of all, thank you for your time. And the last question from my side, first of all, if our listeners will decide to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that? How they can learn more about your company, about your services, and how they can reach you out?
Yes, so LinkedIn is always going to be king. We are on LinkedIn all day, every day, spotting who's growing, who's hiring, and speaking with candidates. So we have an LMRE LinkedIn page where all of the roles that we post are being posted through that direct channel almost every day of the week. Through our LinkedIn page, you can find our website, and on our website, you can sign up for a mailer. So again, whether it's for the salary survey, any updates in the industry, we send out, copy where we're writing about trends that we're seeing. Equally, you can sign up for job alerts as well. So anytime that we post a job, you will receive an email. And again, if it's of interest to you, that's your direct line to get in contact with us. But LinkedIn will always be king, I guess, in our industry. But otherwise, come and say hi in person, because we're going to be in the US at all of these conferences. So if anybody happens to recognize me, then always come and say hi, because recruiters do love a chat.
So thank you for sharing your context. And that's already a small tradition of our podcast. There's some final statement from our guest. What would you say to our listeners?
One thing that I would say is, if you are applying for a job, put your LinkedIn on the link to your LinkedIn on your resume. I can't stress this enough. People will message me and say, hey, I'm interested in this role. Let me see you. Let me see your picture. Let me see the vision. That is what I would like to say to everybody, not only your listeners, but anybody applying for a job in the future. Please put your LinkedIn on your resume.
That feels like it's your general pain. And it's very practical advice.
It's my plea. You have some great candidates and you're like, I can't find you. There's so many Bob Whites or Sam Smiths. Like, I can't find you. So please do that.
Okay. So thank you one more time, first of all, for the small advice for the crowd, for being with us today. And I hope to see you at the next conference. I guess for us, that's going to be Apartmentalize in Vegas. So I'll see you there soon. And to our listeners, guys, thank you for being with us. And very soon, there's going to be another podcast, and we're going to have another amazing guest. So stay with us. Let's stay connected, and good luck with all your beginnings. Thank you so much, and ciao for now.